Hey, what's up, performance marketers? Welcome. Today we got a treat. Today we've got two ladies that I've known for a few years. Met them at a mastermind. They are amazing. They're in the photography business, and they've done some remarkable things. I've seen them grow almost 10x from the day I met them till today. They're just really, really good at listening, hearing, modeling, and executing on things that they see that are working. And they're doing it in a niche in the photography business that, people don't think they can make money in. If you love to take pictures, this is something you want to listen to. If you're somebody that loves to take pictures and wants to turn into a business, 1,000%. If you have a photography business, you want to listen to this. If you're somebody that's sitting at home and you want to be with your family and you want to raise your kids, could you make money from home? The answer is absolutely yes. We've talked about this all the time. And one way to do it is in the photography business, right? Yeah, I see that a lot of these photographers, they feel like their photography business is running their lives. They're just always being pulled in all different kinds of directions. And this whole digital file of taking pictures, giving them the digital files, and just feeling like you're a commodity, they change all of this. So today we're going to have Sarah Petty and Erin Verbeck of Joy of Marketing come on. And they are two amazing, amazing women. They help professional photographers learn how they can be there for their families. They can be there for when their kids are graduating kindergarten and putting them on the bus and losing a tooth. And at the same time, they can also run a thriving photo business. In their theory, their feelings are you don't have to choose between a career and a family. You can do both. And they're going to tell us how they teach that to their students here today on Performance Marketers. So stick around, check them out. They're going to give you just an eye-opening treat of ways that you can make money by just taking pictures. So I think you're going to enjoy this. So let's dive in. Boom. Let's just get started then. Sarah, first,
Okay.
Start off with telling us how you started this business, why you started this business 18 years ago from today. What happened? Give me the background.
Yeah, it kind of created itself through demand. Both of my businesses did, which was really fascinating. I was working at an ad agency, which is where Erin and I met. We actually worked together, and I got pregnant with twins, had a crazy pregnancy, spent the year, it was like 33-week pregnancy, but most of it was in the hospital. And when I had these little babies, I was so grateful to have them in the world. And I realized I didn't want to go back to working full-time at the ad agency. We just grinded. I loved it, but we worked all the time. And I'd been doing photography for fun. This was in the film days. It was pre-digital. It was in the late 90s. And I thought, gosh, if I can just make enough with my photography, I can be a stay-at-home, like a sort of stay-at-home mom, but also have some money. And even, both Erin and I have MBAs, and I'd been a marketing director, but still, when I went to start my own business, they don't teach you that in business school, how to price a photography business, how to have a sales process, how to do all of that. So quickly I realized I was not making money. And I had these little babies at home, and we went from living on two good incomes with two people to one income and four people. Now that math does not work very long. So I had to figure out how to make money as a portrait photographer. So I doubled down everything I had. I invested in learning. There was no internet really back then. It was a little baby. There were no Facebook groups. So learning, I had to physically leave home and go one-on-one to study with different people. Took me a couple of years, got it systematized. I was named one of the most profitable photography businesses in the United States. Wow. And realized, oh my gosh, like this is perfect because I can make money and be at home. I had childcare like 2 to 3 days a week. And it was amazing. And I started getting asked to speak because everyone was like, oh my gosh, how are you doing this? How are you doing this? And that's when Joy of Marketing was born. This was about 2005. And it was great. I created a little continuity program, and I had like, that was my only product, right? I had a website and this one product. So we're burning CDs in the basement for every month. People would pay like $35 and get a CD and all this education. And it was interesting because I would go to one business and the other would go down, right? My studio would go down and then I'd be like, all right, I'll be right back. And I'd run over here to join marketing and I'd be like, I'll be right back. And so I was sort of doing this juggling game of revenue up and down, up and down. And Erin and I had worked together before and we were always like, we need to do something together. And through a crazy random little twist of events, we found ourselves together at a former coworker's bridal shower down in Texas. I live in Illinois. And by the end of the weekend, we had created the future. So we partnered up. That was in 2008, or was it 2009? It was 2009. Sorry, 2008 is when I started the continuity. So Erin came in because it was crazy because I knew there was potential, but I didn't want either business to go away. And so, we got together and figured out how to scale. So that really gets you to us joining together in 2009.
Wait, this all happened in 2 days? It's like Pam and Tommy. You guys you went away and you came home married.
The funny thing was, it actually was kind of like that because when I left to go on the trip, I remember telling my husband, oh man, this is going to stink because I'm going to have to tell Sarah no, like that I'm not going to do this, that like, this isn't the time, this isn't the opportunity. And I was driving back, it was between Dallas and Houston, and I was driving back home to Dallas. And I remember calling Chris from a gas station and Sarah was in the car with me. And I was like, yeah, so I'm going to tell her yes.
I'm sure he was like, what? Because Erin was in corporate. She was the golden girl. She was on the fast track up and working a lot, but very, she was held in very high esteem and she was the one. And so it was a big deal for her to make that decision to like go all in with me. And It's been amazing ever since. Like we're
what was that like? So wait, so Erin, you just had to walk into your office and be like, here's my 2 weeks. I'm leaving. Thanks for everything.
Yeah. So it was really hard because I was working really closely with, the CMO and, I was being groomed for, some really big things and to have to come in and say, listen, like, this was not my plan. This is not at all what I wanted to, I thought my path was going to be, but, this is what's right for me. And this is what's best for me. And they were super supportive and I didn't give 2 weeks notice. I gave more notice than that because and it was funny because on my last day, my actual boss, my direct boss, he said, he came to me and he said, you have to go now. You need to go now. And I was like, no. I just need to finish a few more things for you guys. I need to make sure everything's okay, that you aren't in a bad way or anything like that. And he goes, Erin, we'll be okay. It's all right. You need to go, like, go home now. Like, it's fine. Because I had so much, I felt, like I felt bad leaving that behind. And, of course, never looked back after that. I think the first day I was like, oh gosh, I'm like, took me about like a few hours to figure out how to use a Mac again, because I had been on a PC. That was like my biggest struggle of like the transition. It was like, after that, I never looked back again, but that first few hours, I was like, oh man, what did I do?
God. I mean, I look up to you. I mean, I can't relate to that because I've never had a job that paid me enough money that made me think about, do I want to leave? Right. So I look at some of the people out in the world that are getting paid really well, they're talented and they have a good, secure job. And for them to be able to just, pick up and leave is really hard. I mean, I started my company because my business that I was working for, and it was probably the most money I ever made from like a job, went out of business. So like I was stuck with this, what do I do? And then I ended up starting my business. But like, I always think still till today, like would I have had like the oomph to like, walk in and say goodbye. And I'd like to think I would have. I like to think that my destiny was there, but I don't know. I don't know. So like, I commend you for doing something like that. It's scary. Certainly when you have like a good thing going, like when it's like, all right, you got nothing to lose, it's easy. But like when you have a job and you have something, it's it's tough. So, for Sarah to talk you into that, she must've been a great saleswoman.
She is like the best salesman. I mean, I'm not going to lie, like, cause I was such a no. And then, like you said, and 2 days later, it was a yes. And it's like never not been a yes, like since, like, I've never even thought about going back in that capacity. But the thing is because I wasn't entrepreneurial, because no one in my family was entrepreneurial, I hadn't been around that. So I didn't have that desire, that burning myself. I needed someone else to see that in me, to say,
Right.
you know what, like this could be something amazing. But like, let's do this together. And I wouldn't have, I think that's what I'm so grateful for, is that like, that would never have been my path. I never would have come across that. Like I would literally still be in corporate, and then my whole career would have been spent in corporate, and that's okay. Like that's a great option for a lot of people. I think a big part of me wouldn't, and what I am capable of wouldn't have been realized had Sarah not seen that and found that and brought that.
For sure. I think the biggest thing that sold Erin is our platform, right? Away from the golden handcuffs. That's what people always call it, right? You're making so much money that you can't leave. You don't want to leave. And I know, I'm sure some people were like, oh, she like, this is, businesses fail every day. So I'm sure they're like, oh, poor Erin, she's such a sucker.
Right? I had a friend who literally said that. Like, she was like, what are you going to do? What's your friendship going to be? I remember having those conversations. Like, she's like, I'm worried about this for you. And I'm like, I guess in my mind, I was like, I wasn't living outside of my means to begin with. So it wasn't a case of like, oh gosh, this is going to be, it could be detrimental to my family. I didn't have any kids yet. So it was like just my husband and I. It's like, okay, if it doesn't work, I'll just go get a job somewhere else. Yeah. Like, I think that in my mind was like, I can just go. And I knew that I could probably go back if I needed to. I had great relationships, right? So it's like, I could go back. It's not the end of the world. But
I think what truly tipped the scale was what we teach our students is you can have a life and make money. And Erin was working all the time, and she was married, and they thought about having a family one day, but she was like, I'm going to have to leave corporate and maybe go coach and teach and just not make the money that I want to make because I want to be a good mom. Like, I think people think that I get to make a lot of money or get to be a great mom. Totally. And I was telling her, no, with this, the way we build this company, you can have both. Remember that, Erin? And she was like, really? Like, I can take vacations, and I can take my kid, and I can develop my kid, and I can make money. That's literally what did it.
Yeah, it was 100% what did it, because it was like, okay, now I can see like this is possible, because again, I didn't have any example of that. I had the females that I was working with were either I was looking at them as they left, they walked out the door at like 4:00, like, well, yeah, you don't work that hard, because they had their kids to pick up with, I was judging in my mind that person and knowing that I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want my employees looking at me like that. Or I was looking at people who had chosen not to have a family because they were really high up and they just didn't want to have that, like take that step, sidestep in their career. So I felt like that was my only options. And so when Sarah said, no, there's a whole other world over here. Come over into this world. I was like, okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, totally. You could have your cake and eat it both. Yeah. It's Sarah, you're right. There's a lot of people that believe that. Certainly 10, 15 years ago, for sure. I see so many moms here that are so smart that are like, they're working for nothing. They're begging for work. And they were like these investment bankers who like left to like be with their kids. And now they're just like, can I get a job? Can I get a job? And I'm like, you're like 14 times smarter than I am. And they just, it's like the part of the unknown that it's not like, oh, I could do that. I can work from home. I can also have a family and make money and be the breadwinner. Yeah. Like you guys were lucky that you did that so early on, because it's just starting to like be realized by people, I think, more in the last few years. So that's great. And you guys are a dynamic duo for sure. So, so what happened? So, okay. So we get together, she comes, you get this all-star, now you have an all-star team, and now you have help. So you guys, what'd you do? You started this low ticket offer. What was the plan?
We literally had no plan. We were like, we need an idea. And teleseminars were a thing. And Twitter was brand new. And Erin had seen someone doing a thing. It was like the Brian Tracy, Alex Hormozy, or Alex Mendozian, right? Got the wrong Alex. doing these things, and we saw it, and I said, I'm going to listen. So I dialed in, and it was terrible. And they're just blah, blah, blah. So an hour later I dialed in, and they were like, hey, if you buy it, you can buy all the recordings for something cheap, like $29.
Like it was like $79, I think.
Okay.
I think like, yeah.
And I kept calling back saying, if there's anything good here, I'm going to buy them. And nothing was good. And I went to Erin. I said, Erin, we could copy this model. Let's get everybody we know. I spoke in the photography space, so I knew all the industry leaders. Let's get them all to record a recording. We went to teleconferencing, line, and we played the recordings every hour, and we sold it on the back end. And we did like 150 grand that first week and built our list of 0 to like 12,000 people. That was in October. We got together in June, and we were like, all right, we're going to be okay here. It was pretty crazy. And so that's that. I mean, that took us off.
So wait, not knowing, what the hell you're going to do. And then you guys sat and talked about what you should do. You decided to launch a program and made 150K in a weekend.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. That's exactly what happened.
Did you rinse and repeat that at that point?
Yes.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Doing it? And
yeah.
that was how you scaled the business?
But what happened too is a year later, it was 10-10-10. My twins were turning 10. It was a Sunday. I had a whole house full of little kids, and we decided to we named our events. We had all these different specific things. And this one was called 10-10-10. We had 10 speakers giving 10 selling tips. The internet was a baby, and we had so many people promoting it. We were the first in our industry. So we had everybody promoting it. It went live at like 10 a.m. And what do you think happened? Nobody could get in, right? The internet, companies didn't know how to handle that kind of traffic. We were with an industry company. And so it was just a nightmare. We were getting lambasted.
I was at a wedding.
Yeah.
I was at a wedding, and Sarah was with her twin, because it was supposed to be just everybody just access it on the computer, right? Like it wasn't the phone anymore. It was the computer. Now we had moved to the internet versus calling into the free lines. And yeah, that was a,
so what did you do?
Well, it was a low for us. If you look at the ups and downs over all these years, that was a low because, you spend so much money getting there. And with our team, it was a couple months to create it, and we needed the cash flow. And it was like, we have failed. We had to cancel it. We moved it to 10-17, and then we ended up recovering it and crushing it. But that day, I mean, it was a low.
Everybody and everyone was I remember so mean, right? Like, and this was before we were spending ads, right? Our costs back then to get this thing going were costs because we have to increase all the bandwidth for our website and all the design and the hosting. Like things weren't cheap and easy to do. Like this would take, at least a month plus to put together all the promotional materials and the website and everything that needed to go. And, people were horrible. I took the day off work. I canceled a wedding. Just the emails they'd send in, you people are frauds. And we're leaders in the industry. No one else is doing this. And we're getting these kinds of messages. And I think we had one customer service person at the time, Sarah, and they're coming to us like, what do we do? What do we do? Like, what are we supposed to say? And we're like, we don't even know what to say. And we had sponsors, who were like, okay, we've got to let them know what's going on. And, it was like, rather than try to do it the next day, it's like, we know we're going to probably need a week to reload, to figure out what the tech stack looks like so that we can handle this volume.
I think it was an EO.
Ticketmaster. It was like, this is the way they likened it back when Ticketmaster, when everybody would call to try to get concert tickets, and you have like this little tiny hole that you're trying to shove all these people in. And that's in effect what we did to the internet, like in 2010 during our event.
I was in EO though, and I had someone in my EO group that did that I called on Sunday, and I was like, what do we do? And he was the one that said, you're not going to fix it today. So we did a triage email, we were proud of ourselves. We just said, hey, here's what happened. We had so many people. And then people were like, wow, so professional. So such an emotional day. Right. And I remember telling Erin that day, like, I will eat macaroni and cheese before this company's going down. And, and we've learned over time that it only takes one idea to change everything, right? Implement one idea and everything can be changed. And so whenever things go wrong, we're like, we can fix it. There's a way to fix it. There are buyers out there. Let's go fix it.
Totally. at this point, when you guys are building this business and photographers are calling up, one, who are you targeting? What kind of photographer? And two, what are they learning how to do? It's just somebody that just has a passion for going out and taking pictures because they love it. Do they have a business and you're helping them scale it to the next level? And if they are, like, what is it that you're teaching them? What is the information you're teaching them and the result that they're going to get from being with you guys?
Yeah, we were very clear early on that our niche is business. There are tons of people teaching photographers, but I was running a portrait photography business. So those were the systems. That's what we were teaching. So we're teaching them marketing, how to get clients. We're teaching them selling, right? The sales process. And then we got into pricing. But when we were partnering with these other photographers, we would pick someone whose style was different, that maybe they did a different marketing activity. And like 10, 10, 10, they were all getting something they did in selling that was helping people. And I would meet with each person, really curate the content versus a national association where they just have speakers all day and there's no common thread, no consistency. So our events had a theme. They were curated. We made sure the speakers delivered great content. Everything was so excellent and it was working great.
And oftentimes we would also include like the marketing piece that they talked about if you bought the recording. So they're talking about this promotion that they did in order to attract clients at a certain time of the year. And they'd say, yeah, and if you buy the recordings, like you'll get this particular, template that I used as well. So we had a lot of ways to upsell. We were marketers, so we understood that side of it, even if like it wasn't funnel terminology or if it wasn't like built, on a certain platform, if it was harder to build, we still understood that side of it. So, it just took us so much longer to do it back then than it does now. And then the coordination of, our first event had, I think, 17 speakers, 10, 10, 10 had 10, which was nice. We had one that had like 25 speakers. So just coordinating all of their materials and all of, like Sarah was saying, like we had all this money into it from a standpoint of like labor on our time and to put all of this together. And then, so we would, it was very much a launch model where we would have a high revenue month and then we would have 2 or 3 low revenue months, because we didn't have anything to sell in the in-between time. Part of what made that model work was the urgency and scarcity of it's free on these 2 days, or you can buy it on these 2 days. And it was just all the excitement of everyone in the industry promoting it. And email was the main way of promoting things back then. Facebook a little bit, like Sarah said, Twitter had just kind of started, but we weren't buying ads to that.
Yeah. So now you're working with people that already have a photography business, struggling a little bit, and you're just kind of helping them for the most part. And this is now the first business. Now, so take me through this gap of when I meet you and then we're in the inner circle hanging out. And then I see from where your business is from then till today, like fast track that. Take me through that quickly. So what happens?
We were doing these it was sort of a launch model, right? Because you put everything into this one activity. So we were doing 4 a year and we started out high and then that curve would get lower, that little roller coaster. And if we had a crash one, a bad one, maybe a bad topic or bad timing, it was a big deal. That was 1/4 of our revenue. And so Erin and I just were like, we just don't love this lifestyle. So we threw together a high ticket coaching program. We got like 10 people and they loved it. And we'd meet with them each month. And then we added more people and we got one crabby person who was like, this doesn't work. And we're like, well, what did you do? Well, nothing, but it doesn't work. And so I had 3 little kids at this time. Erin didn't have her son yet, but we were like, I just can't handle it. I don't know how to handle it. Like they're making us feel like we're not good. And we just shut down. So we're like, we're not going to sell high ticket. So then we're going to double down on, so we kind of left the event model and we doubled down on our continuity program. We're just going to amp that up. So we put every resource into that, layering. The whole concept is you get a lot of people to pay you, whatever, I think it was $99 a month at that point. Sure. And so everything we did for that. Well, the first year was great, right? It was a 12-month program. So the first year was like growth. Well, then at 12 months, we didn't see that cliff coming of the people who had been there a year just dropped off, because they're like trickle away, whatever. And we're like, so then we're spending that next year was like, just triage, you're just churn. You're just replacing the churn. So then we went to Walker, like somewhere in there, we're like, okay, let's launch a selling program. That was the marketing program. Let's do a different program to our current audience. And everything we were doing, we were hitting the same revenue, right? We were just coming up with just a different way of hitting the same revenue. Because really, Erin and I were both grinding. Someone at a mastermind told us we were stuffing sausages. Like picture that, right? That like nasty skin, and you're just shoving the garbage into that sausage machine. So that's where we were when we met you, right? We were like, Russell's going to help us figure out how to make a funnel to scale these low ticket. When I say low ticket at that point, we were selling pretty much our selling and marketing program that all canned up. They were just under $1,000. And so that's where we came into Russell. We're like, we need to scale this, but we're not doing anything high ticket. We've done that. We're not good at it. And we're not doing a live event. Like we had dabbled with that a little bit, had to buy our way out. Right. So that's what we told him we weren't going to do. And so basically he said, bundle everything together and sell it for $1,000. Just do a webinar every day, get really great at that. So we did it, right? We're action takers and we're coachable. So we did that. We're like, okay, we got the webinar performing. We track everything where we're like, show up, click through, how many on at the offer, how many, blah, 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 right? We're tracking until we got it really where we wanted it.
Yeah.
And then we went to scale, right? So we start pouring Facebook ad money on it. And all of a sudden we found ourselves down 45 grand in a month. We're like, wait a minute. And then, of course, Russell's like, well, you don't have anything to sell them in the back end, which is why you're like getting upside down because you're paying all this.
You should just be breaking even on the front end. And we're like, no, our whole business is the front end.
Sure,
like, wait, what?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's a myth that a lot of people don't recognize in the beginning for sure.
Exactly.
So what happens? So you're generating signups, but you're underwater. You're acquiring a customer for $1,200 and getting $997. Is it something like that? Is that what it's like?
Yeah. So it was late year, it was fall. And the only way, like we run a really solid business. We're like right now, we're like, we can't eat or we're going to go bankrupt or whatever. But it was a scary place. Like you don't want to end your year upside down, in a big hole.
Sure.
And we were in such a big hole that we kind of talked and we're like, we just need a Band-Aid right now. Let's go sell something high ticket and let's just get out of this hole. So we went to everyone who had bought something over $1,000 and everyone who had replied recently. Like we found our like 300, I think, really quality people. We sent them a marketing piece in the mail, inviting them to a private, like basically webinar. I don't know what we called it. An invite, and invited them to a 2-day training at my studio, high end like sales with me because we hadn't done any of this. So there was some demand there. And we made 87,000. I think I got on the phone afterwards and like one-on-one for a couple of days.
It was $6,000. It was $6,000.
$6,000. And we made like 87 grand. And we were like, oh my God, that was such easy money. And they came here and they loved it. And we went, okay, ding, ding, ding. Like, what are we doing here?
Right. Wait, so everybody flew to you guys? Came in person?
That was a mindset we had that was broken. We were saying, no one's going to come to me. I'm in Springfield, Illinois, in the middle of the country, not a major airport. There's one 90 minutes away.
And their moms.
Their moms,
they're busy. Their families.
Sure.
Yeah, but they did.
They weren't. Meanwhile, I was like, let me get away from my family for a few days and freedom, hang out with other moms. And just like, it was such a good mental thing, I would bet, for them just as much as anything else.
And meanwhile, Erin and I, whenever times were hard for us, that's what we did. We would leave home. In fact, we're doing it this week.
But not because times are hard, just because we're doing it. Yeah.
Because we need to make change, right? Like we need to leave our families. We do a 36-hour. She flies 2 hours. I drive 2 hours. We kind of meet there. We just work. And that's how you get clarity, right? And we're like telling ourselves, this is what we've done to grow this company so big. But like our student, our little market can't do that. And that sort of proved to us, oh my gosh, they can do it. They did do it.
Yeah, it's healthy. There's no doubt. Things would be great at home, but I always find whenever you go somewhere, certainly for work, it's just a reset for your mind to get back and it creates some energy for you. So, it's really powerful. So, all right. So people come, now you're starting a little bit higher ticket, right? So where's that moment? I saw you guys like have like a big lift. I remember seeing you guys at one of the meetings and then like something happened. And then you got to another meeting and you were like, it was just like, oh my God. And you like figured out things that like no one ever knew in this world, and you're killing it and you're excited to tell other people about it, trying to help them because it's something new that I'm guessing other people were already doing, like Russell, but you're like, to you guys, it was new, right? So it's like, holy cow, what was that? What did you guys do differently?
I think it was a couple things. I think part of it was watching Russell run a high ticket program. And I saw the things that we didn't know 10 years earlier when we had tried to do it. And I told myself, I can't do this. Like, they don't like me. I'm not good at this, because I was good at it. And I do know what I'm doing. And I do have great systems, but I didn't know how to manage like certain things. A big one was teaching people that they have to have personal responsibility. Like I took responsibility for when they failed. Like I felt like I had failed them.
Totally.
And Mandy Keene, of course, our sort of life coach in Russell's program, said, Sarah, you can't save people. You're not a savior. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like I don't expect Russell to save me or Erin and I. Like it's on us. We know that. We are very clear that our investment is on us to get back. But yet I was feeling responsible for them. So that was sort of cooking inside of me. And then the other thing that happened was I was telling Erin, something's going on. We have the best programs and people are telling us they're stuck. They're not getting results. And Facebook groups started to be a thing. And I said, just get me, because I like get the idea and then Erin makes it happen, right? That's what is so great about our partnership, is that our skills are there. We have the same vision, but like they're very complementary. So I said, get me a bunch of people. So she created, emails or ads or whatever, and got me a group of people to do a class live. And I just said, I'm just going to break it down. I'm going to make people do it and figure out why they're getting stuck. So it was like over a month, every day. I just created it as we went, which we don't like to do, but I just I would say, just do this one thing and then report back to me in this group. Okay, you guys all did that. Okay, do the next thing. We charged $1,000 and it was ugly. And I was having to fix as we went. But
how many students did we have? Didn't we have like close to 60 students, or do you remember? Or was it smaller than that?
I feel like it was closer to 30, but we could probably look it up. I bet that group exists, because I'm curious.
I mean, we still know exactly who was in it, right?
Yeah.
Like we remember.
Yeah. And so we did this a couple of times. Each time I would do it live and I would make it better. And what we realized is we were overwhelming them. I had to keep taking things out, and had to just make it streamlined, right? So we got it to be a well-oiled machine. But what was happening was at the end of that time, they were wanting more. So over a year, we tested like a 3-month program and then a 6-month program, and they weren't getting traction yet. And we were leaning on people in our inner circle, other people like, how do we do this? Remember, we had some really great people step forward and go, okay, here's what to do. They would Vox us.
Yeah. Dean Holland was awesome. Dean Holland really helped us.
Dean Holland was amazing to help us. And so we got them clamoring for it, asking for more help. And that's when we launched our 12-month program, because we realized 3 months wasn't enough. And then I'm asking them for more money, but they hadn't gotten results. And we realized we're so seasonal, they need 12 months. So we realized we needed to charge a little more, and we needed to create the value so that they could do a 12-month program. We started with 5 people, and then we went to 13, and then we went to 17. And I remember Erin and I having the talk at kind of in that point of us needing to make a decision. And Erin's like, Sarah, we've always said we don't want to go here. And that's what I love about you, Erin, is we fight for what we believe is right, but also one of us, that's why our partnership works. Like, cause sometimes I'm like, Erin, you feel more strongly. I go with you. But here she was like, are you sure? And I said, yes, we can do this because we're ready. Like my kids were older at this point. I had the ability and the mental capacity. And also I'm a better leader. I've become a better person, and it's been hard. Like I'm still trying to get there. And same with Erin, like we're both growing into this leadership part of the company. Because we've had to add team, like we're adding team, we're managing a group. We now have like 175 people in the group. Wow. But as we were doing this and growing, we realized an event is the way to fill this, a live event. And I love speaking. I love being on stage, but like a live event is a huge risk. It's huge.
Scary.
It was live, right? So you have hotel contracts and everything. And so Allison Prince, love that woman. I was at a volleyball tournament with my daughter. We were between matches. I remember being in the hotel suite for 90 minutes. She walked me through her event, told me exactly what she did. We exactly copied it and we crushed it. And this was February 14th, like right before Valentine's Day of 2020.
Wow.
Here we are crushing this event. We signed up people for 12-month payments. And, we just get them onboarded. We get their payments. We get them set up when we realize mid-March, the world is shutting down. And so I'd opened my first studio 2 weeks before 9/11. And this is where we had to pull up the big girl pants because it was like, I could just see everyone leaving us. All this, we thought we just had a win. They're all going to leave us. They're all going to quit. And I was like, Sarah, you started your studio 2 weeks before 9/11. You got through 2008. You can do this as a leader. Yeah. And Erin and I talked and we're like, we can do this, right? So I just told them, get off the news, get off everything, listen to my voice, and we will get through this together. And our community did what was the stat, Erin?
That. So in 2020, they ended up doing
$2.9 million.
It was $2.9 million
minimum.
Of our students, like that they did during a pandemic selling portraits.
Wow. When you're not allowed to see anybody.
Yeah. Many of them are still with us years later. They just keep signing up. And so we've had different growth challenges in these last 2.5, whatever years. I guess it's been a little over 2 years. We realized pretty quickly after we got them on board that we actually inherited in April of 2020. Right after that, we had 2 little part-time salespeople. Their only job was to take the people from the smaller course that was $1,000 at that point to the $12,000 program. Because it was taking me so much time. So we found 2 people in our life who had sales skills. And like every, couple months, we did that first program, like 3 or 4 times a year. They would jump in and do that. We had a friend who closed her business in our space and she had this excellent salesperson and she delivered her to us. She said, do you want this person? We interviewed her. We loved her. We thought she was a great skill set match and core value match, but we couldn't sell the program at $1,000. I was selling it on webinars for that. So we realized, okay, here's a huge opportunity. So we raised the price. We made it 2 months long, added a bunch more things, raised the price to $3,000 and tripled our revenue just like that. Didn't miss a beat.
And that was in 2020,
April
2021. So again, like right in the middle of a time period where everybody's telling you, you can't do anything. The world is ending. You can't make money. Like your business is going to close. And this is what we did with it.
So in the photography world, take me through some things like I know when I'll go get pictures, right? And if you look at like the evolution of photography, it's like we used to do those Polaroids where it would come out immediately and you get immediate satisfaction versus you get those film, right? Like, I don't know if you ever show your kids that and they're like, what is that thing? We used to take film and we'd hand it in and then they'd come and we have to wait forever long, like 2 days. You're so excited to go get
your pictures,
your pictures. Right. And now like we've moved to this digital world where like, I almost never print my pictures. I have thousands of pictures. I take pictures at will. Like, usually it's like we used to have those pictures. You had 24. So you had to really be very specific with what you took. Now it's like,
Yep.
you look at your iPhone and you're all clogged up. So the business has definitely evolved in a big way. So like, what are some of the false beliefs that these photographers have that they think that they can't make money because of what's happening? And almost every person in the world is now a photographer, so to speak.
Yeah.
How do you tackle that to turn that into a business? Because it's fun. I could see like people love it. It's just, they don't know they can make money with it. What are some of the challenges that you're facing?
So we're crystal clear on this. All right. What most people are doing is they're like, oh, I like this thing. So I'm going to take pictures for a friend. I'm going to charge $200 and give all the digital files to them.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. There were no photos of me as a child because people didn't have cameras on them. And so I got into business because I want people to have artwork on their walls. And so
Yeah.
in a market where you're competing with free because everyone has a digital camera, you have to be different. When you're giving digital files for $200, you're like a fast food restaurant, right? There's one on every corner, McDonald's, Arby's, Hardee's, Wendy's. You have all this competition, right? So it's all the fear of, I can't make money. Everybody's doing it. I have to do mini sessions. I have to give it away.
Yeah.
And we're teaching them a completely different model that's more like a sit-down restaurant. So if you were my client, Eric, I would sit down with you. I would meet you and your wife and your kids, and I would look at how can I celebrate Eric's family? How can I bring out who they really are? Because I want a 6-foot wide wall portrait of you and your kids laughing, doing what you do. So you walk in every day and you get goosebumps in your entire body, knowing like, I have the best life. I love my people.
Yeah.
And so our students, when they follow the system of high service customization, right? You get your steak at the restaurant cooked the way you want it. You get dessert, you get wine, your bill, you know that your bill is going to be more, right? When you go to a beautiful table with a view restaurant versus the drive-through. So same thing with us. There's no bait and switch. There's no yucky. I'm educating my clients and I spend a lot of time with them. And the average orders go from 200 to 2,000, 4,000. Like it's rare. And I'm in a cornfield in Illinois. It's rare that I have an order under $10,000.
Wow.
That's how you get your life back.
Yeah. I love
One session a week at $2,000 is a 6-figure income. Any mom can do that.
You know, I always wanted so I have photographers here. I always wanted to have a guaranteed photographer come by my house for every holiday, for during the Hanukkah, Christmas area, for Thanksgiving, for Mother's Day, Father's Day, just coming and taking photos of my family. And I've done it twice, and my family was like, what the hell is this? They were all like, we got to come early. We got to go get dressed up. I was like, listen, if you don't want to be in, then don't be in. And all of them came and they all loved it and they all smiled. And at the end, when we produced all these pictures of our family, we still look back to this like, oh, that's that day where we had all this. Hey, can you send me the picture from that day? I've gotten all that, right? So it's like people always complain, but like the ability to have that and then go and then take it to the next step of being able to frame them and put them on the wall like you're describing is a powerful thing that I don't think a lot of people do, that I think you're spot on with, because I take tons of pictures, amazing pictures, but I don't do anything with it ever. I'm like, oh, my mindset is, one day, I don't know, when I'm dead, like my kids will find them and be able to be like, oh, that was grandpa,
Like, Eric,
if they even can. I mean, what are they going to do? Get them off your iPhone? Get them off your old dead computer?
But here's the thing, Eric, your kids need them on the walls now. They're suffering in this pandemic. And, especially like junior high kids, you think, oh, I'm not pretty. And you're comparing yourself to everyone else. When they come home and they see that my parents love me and they put this big image on the wall, they love me. Your wife feels loved, right? Like you feel like I am the man of the house. Look at my family. I provide. They love me. Because it anchors in that we are a strong family and we love each other, because we know there are hard times in families when no one's getting along and everyone's fighting. And it's like, oh my God, who gave me these kids? Right. But you look at that photo and you go, you know what? We're going to be okay.
Oh, yeah.
So this is what we teach our students to educate people on. Photography is important. And you can say photographers have the disempowering belief that like nobody has any money right now. Gas prices are so high. The economy is terrible. No, people need artwork now. They're spending money and they're not traveling. They have money to spend and to invest. They should be investing it with us. I feel so strongly. And I'll be at your house tomorrow by noon, Eric.
Come, please.
Photograph the family.
I just need you to get here. I would
how important.
Plenty on that. Plenty. I think most people are lazy and just need to be reminded of that. And then they say yes. I mean, I would 100%.
Exactly.
I mean, once I started getting into this world, before like being an influencer and podcasts and all that fun, the idea of getting a photographer to follow you around to like take pictures and document an experience was never even a thought in my mind. But like now doing it and having photographers following me to do, like, I remember when I went for this book launch, and I actually was late because of the traffic in New York City, but I had a photographer meet me there to follow us around. And it was the most amazing day. And we just walked around and took great pictures with our family and all kinds of, you got to get used to like kind of like taking pictures. Like you feel funny when people are looking at you and stuff. But once you can get past that, it's, yeah, I mean, I want a photographer with me every day to just document every single moment. I would pay for a photographer to follow me around the world.
Yeah.
I think people that do that recognize, because you don't see yourself, right? Like you don't see yourself in the world by being able to like you said, almost like someone else capturing moments of you in your life is a really powerful thing, and I think it like also helps the inner self of being able to see you with your family. And then to your point, taking it and putting it on the wall, which I need badly. I'm looking around my walls and I just have like pictures. Some of them are sitting on the ground in frames that haven't been put up. Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now with all these people that are in this group, how do you do it where they can scale their business? Is it they hire more photographers and then teach them the framework so that they can do it in other areas? Or is it just you attack your one local area? Do you travel? How does it work as a photographer?
I mean, they can, Eric, but truly we market this as a lifestyle business. If they can make between 100 and 250K, very part-time, they can be the hands-on parent that they want, right? We're not looking at people who want to make millions. Like we can make millions with funnels and online products. Sure. So they scale as they get better by increasing their average sale, and they need 50 clients. Yeah. 50 clients giving you $5,000 each. That's a good business model. That's still one session at a time.
Is that one a week? A little less than
one a week. Yeah. One a week, 50 clients.
And what is it? They spend an hour, 2 hours? How long is the photography session when you do it?
For me, they're 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Again, it depends. Like if it's a documentary like you're looking for, it could be longer, right?
Yeah.
But it's whatever they want it to be. But I mean, I was doing 6 figures quickly with 3 babies at home, and my life was amazing, right? And then I got to 200 and then 300 and then 400. And I realized, okay, to go to the next level in my photography business, I have to have a bigger studio. I have to have more employees. I have to have more clients, more high touch. And that's when Joy Marketing had taken off. And it was like, I can really scale that. But for someone like a second income, we have some people who are single parents or they have a child with special needs. What a great way to be able to provide for your family very part-time. That's what this is about.
Yeah. Erin, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I think the place where we see, most people come to us and they're like, I just need more clients. I just need more clients. And the truth of it is that's not the case at all. They just need to know how to serve their clients better and get those average orders up, because when they serve those clients better, then it becomes not just people coming in and saying, oh yeah, I just want one big portrait for over the mantle. It becomes but dad has an office and we want a photo of dad with each kid. I mean, you saw, one of the things that Sarah, created for Russell, his whole office is decked out with, Russell with each kid, and then you have mom with each kid. And there's a lot of things that you can do to capture that relationship and that stage of where the child is that really, truly serves the family. And I think, but you have to educate them, because the family comes to you thinking like kind of where you were saying, where you started with Eric, of like, oh yeah, just everybody hates it because we all have to get together. We have to have our clothes a certain way and we're all standing a certain way and it's posed and it's forced and what we teach and what boutique photography really is it's more of a lifestyle. It's less of that post thing. And it's more of just like you and your family having fun. I mean, Cal asks me every year, he's 8 now. He's like, am I going to get to, like, when do I get to go and get my pictures taken again? Like it's a thing. He wants to do it. It's fun for him. Like he actually has a good time doing it. Yeah. And I think that it's sort of redefining what photography is, how you do it, how often you do it. And when you do this type of photography with a photographer to hang artwork on your walls.
Totally. So photographers, let's talk about this for a second, because I think there's an overwhelming fear of when I love to take pictures, but Facebook ads and funnels and all the stuff that like, oh my God, I'm not a marketer. I don't know how to do any of that. Like, speak a little bit to how they don't have to really know that at all to be able to run a business, right? I just had Dean on my podcast a few weeks ago, and they're doing something with all around the self-education space. And it's their hurdle is always just trying to get people to understand they can make money with their passion for whatever they're good at, and just focus on what you're good at and find the who, not necessarily worry about the what and how, right? It's like, speak a little bit about that, because I know like there are people here that are like, you guys make it sound so easy. Sure, go take some pictures, get some people, do one a week. But then it's like, well, how do I do it? How do I get somebody? Where do they come? How they find me? How do they hear about me? Speak a little bit about your process, about how you show people how to do that and make it a turnkey, simple solution from they just do what they're really good at, and you help them with the rest of that so you can turn it into a business. Capture information on a simple funnel and get somebody to come in and then get them to schedule a meeting and then blah, 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 blah. But you don't have to do any of that. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I started my photography business really before the internet, before Facebook ads, before all of that, right? So I had to figure out how to do it. And Erin and I were marketing director ad agencies. We had bought media, we had bought billboards and TV and radio. We know how to do all of that. But I didn't have that kind of money, right? I knew what it took to run a radio campaign. And this was like my little hobby business that I was trying to get going. So I had to figure out how to do it. And what's interesting is photographers think that there's some magic marketing thing they do that books clients. So we have to first educate them that marketing's job is to generate leads, but then what are you saying to them? Yeah. They didn't know how to talk to them. They would just say, here are my prices. Well, of course, then if you're not the cheapest, you're not going to get booked. Right. So that was part of my learning curve as an educator, is I had to break down what am I doing in every step. So like the first phone call, we broke it into what we call the 7 B's. Of 7 things they have to do to book that client.
Yeah.
And so what's interesting is when I went out and I was like, I'm going to market correctly, like I know how to. And I did one marketing activity, and the first client who came in, she invested $1,800, and I tried to sabotage the sale. Her name was Julie. And so we celebrate Julie. Everyone was like, how do I get a Julie? How do I get a Julie? And so we focus on, in that first class that they spend 8 weeks with us, on them going and getting a Julie. We give them easy to do activities. We call one Kevin Bacon, right? The whole Kevin Bacon, your 6 degrees of separation from anybody in the world. Work your network. Find somebody who has a little girl in a dance class, or somebody who just had a baby, or somebody who just adopted a child. They have a story to tell. They have a need. And so then they have to educate them, because like you said, you didn't really think about it a different way. You just were like, I'm taking all the photos and one day I'll do something with them, until we educated you on, whoa, what if you did this in your daughter's room, right? Make her feel amazing. Yeah. And you get a powerful image of her feeling confident. So she goes to school every day feeling amazing about herself. And so we teach them how to educate their clients. So believe it or not, we don't, like, most of what we teach them doesn't cost a bunch of money. We don't teach them how to run Facebook ads. We don't teach them how to do all of these paid advertising things. We teach them how to go out there, because clients are not solution aware. They're not out there looking for someone to do wall portraits. They assume every photographer is a fast food restaurant, that they're $200 and they give them all the digital files.
Totally.
One of the things we really work hard at doing, knowing what limited amount of time many of our students have, is we teach them how to make marketing fit into the life that they are already living. It shouldn't be this big thing that is weighing on their shoulders and like, oh my gosh, how do I do this? What do I have to do? I have to learn all this tech. It's like, no, how can you make marketing fit into the life that you're already doing? How can you generate leads from the people that you already know, from the relationships you already have? And how can you get clients from that? And then how can you, and then Sarah, you want to take it from there? Like, that starts with the Julie, but then there's a second level that goes on to that.
Yeah, we teach them partnering. My first business partner, her name was Bobby. She owned a kids' clothing store, and she would send me, the first client she sent me invested $4,200 in portraits. And so I would photograph her clients in their cute clothes, give her a few images, decorate her store with artwork. And she was sending me these consistent clients. But the thing that's interesting is we call it the boutique business model. So there's no discounting. We don't use price. And so when you're not making a juicy offer, it is hard to get results with Facebook ads, right?
Yeah.
Like it's better to get a right client like you, for example, and then you show your friends and your neighbor comes and then their sister-in-law comes and you build that business organically. And I teach you, like, this is when you have a new baby, for example, this is a key time. And then when your baby's sitting up and then when your baby's standing, and then, we do like 2.5, 3, and then we get a formal portrait before your baby loses his teeth for a big giant one. Yeah. And then we do empowerment sessions when your child is a tween, like that pre-teenage, when they're feeling bad about themselves, they got the big teeth. We make them look and feel amazing. And then you come back for senior portraits. So we get a client once and we keep them for life, and we've decorated their entire homes. You don't swap out. This is not a posed family portrait in a white shirt and khakis. These are personality images with your little kid giggling and your two teenagers, roughhousing, and your family doing what fun thing you do as a family. So it's artwork for your home. So once we educate and we get a really great client, they stay with us for life and they bring us referrals. So it's very organic. It's an organic marketing strategy, which is really different because that's not what we do at Joy of Marketing, right? So we have to get people clear. One is a boutique business and one is a high volume educational business.
That's really interesting. It's the way you guys go about it is something I would love. Like, I would almost pay a membership because I'm not creative enough to think about it. But when you say, it's like when someone's pregnant and they go through the phases of, month 1, 2, 3, 4, and you just like automatically have these sessions that are triggered to document that journey. And it seems like we kind of stop after that, right? It's like I know at my wedding, we got a photographer. At my kids' bar mitzvahs, we had photographers, right? So but these major events, and then we don't do it anymore. And it's almost like I wish I had a photographer. I would pay to be part of a club, and it's like almost every month they come and it's a stand like you were taking pictures and you're documenting that month. And then you kind of like capture those moments throughout time, because we all just kind of get busy and don't do anything. But then if you have somebody that's able to take those pictures and then turn them into something, it's interesting how you turn that into like niche businesses based on like all these photographers, like focusing on certain areas of somebody's life. And to your point, you get somebody once, you do a good job, and then they're the ones you call all the time, which is true because the guy that I call all the time I probably used him from the day I met him from Ashley's bar mitzvah. I probably used him probably another 10 to 12 times on like other events of things just because, right? And it's funny. Like, so we paid for albums that we've still not sat down and have done. And he's joking about it. Like, I'll just come over and do it with you. Like 2000, oh my goodness, like Ashley's 17. So 4 years ago, we still haven't done an album. And now Zach's now like for a year. We have 2 albums sitting, waiting to be done that we haven't done because we're just like, I don't know.
So this is part of what we teach our students, and we will get you someone, Eric, to take care of you, because that's what was driving me crazy about the industry is, one day we'll do it. No, the way our system works is that you make the decision, the photographer gets everything done for you, right? So I see what you're wanting as being like a book that gets produced with all the images from each year. And then the special images get put in your home as a canvas, as a series, some in black and white, some in color. And that's how the photographer can serve you.
Yeah.
Right there. That's how they do
almost
their
like
job.
Designing my house. They're like an interior designer in some
kind
capacity,
of.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I have some like ugly art on my wall that I don't get. I'd rather have my family.
Yeah. And art is good. Like other things are good, but I mean, I have a client in Chicago that invented something wealthy. They built a new home with elevators in it. I mean, just anything money could buy. And they told me they've never done photography. And I kind of had to say they had 5 kids. And I'm like, let's just do one big, beautiful piece. And they told me People comment on those portraits of their kids more than anything in this very, 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 very expensive home. What does that tell you, right? That's the emotion. That's them, not the granite that they paid $100,000 for. Like that is the family, and that's what they enjoy more than the elevator or the 5 wings of the house. So it's not even about money. I have clients with Renoirs and Picassos. And not all of my clients are wealthy by any means. I'm in a cornfield, but I have a couple, and they tell me that the artwork we did for them means more to them. Why wouldn't it?
Of course. So, all right. So you guys have books, you have a podcast. How can people find you? What are ways that they can connect and get more information? You know what I'm telling you?
Well, Joy of Marketing.
Please tell us.
Yeah. Joy of Marketing is our website. So if you're a portrait photographer and you want to make money with your camera, that's great. Our book, Worth Every Penny, is not photography specific. So if you're in a space where you want to make money with something that doesn't compete on price, it's a fantastic read. You can follow me personally, Sarah.Petty, on Instagram or on Facebook. That's really, I'm kind of the one in the company that's easiest to find. But love to hear from you. If you got any value here today, or your story's similar, if there's anything I can do to help, that'd be great. You know where to find me.
Listen, you guys are amazing. I've known you guys for, I don't know, 3 to 4 years. And you guys are 2 of my favorite people. At the core, you're good people. And I feel blessed to know you and to be around you. Forget about business, just as a friendship. And I've seen you guys, how you've grown in the last 2 years. And it's really, really exciting. And I look forward to seeing like what you guys do next, because you guys are awesome. You guys are innovators. You guys are executioners. You guys, like, you hear it, you learn it, you do it. And that's just something that's really powerful. So, hopefully one day you can show me how to do that, and and we could have some fun together. But thank you guys both for your time. I know, Sarah, you're a rock star. Erin, I know you love coming on, so I appreciate you coming on. For me, thank you. I'm thankful.
For you.
This audience has gotten a treat to see that there's this world out here of photography that people take pictures, but oh my God, you can make money while you do it, especially for the people that are home that feel like they want to take care of their family, be with their kids, and just they feel like they can't make any money. All you need is a camera and just a simple few tips from some hanging around these 2, and they can show you how to make a few $100,000, spending a few hours a week tops, it sounds like. So, it's pretty special stuff. So thank you for that. You're making an impact on a lot of people's lives. You should be proud. Thank you.
Eric, thanks for having us. This was amazing. We appreciate you and we love you so much. Like, we're more than like business. We love being in business and making money, but for us, it's about the relationships that we have with really amazing people like you. And we just treasure our friendship so much. So thank you for having both of us on here today.
And we're going to do big things together, Eric. I'm convinced it's happening. I'm speaking.
Well, now that you got an executive, now you got somebody else to help you out. Like, now let's do it. I'm ready. We've had a lot of great ideas. We just it's time to execute. I've got some thoughts. I don't want to run Sarah over and scare the hell out of her. I start freaking her out with all my ideas.
No, you can't scare me.
Stop
it. We did have a 3 a.m. with a group when we were up talking till 3 a.m. Then I was like, I'm hearing you, but my face is not showing it.
And I'm like, I can't sleep. I love all of Eric's ideas. Right. I can't go to bed.
Oh, I know. So fun.
That was fun.
That was a good time. We'll definitely do it. Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks for coming on.
Eric.